In AD 780, Leo IV the Khazar died at the age of 30, leaving behind his widow, the iconophile Irene of Athens, and their son, Constantine VI. A challenge to their rule immediately emerged, as several courtiers plotted to place one of Leo's half-brothers on the throne instead. Irene uncovered the coup and banished the conspirators. As for her troublesome brothers-in-law, she forced them to become priests. Irene gradually consolidated her legitimacy until she felt secure enough to eventually reverse the iconoclasm of the Isaurian dynasty and restore the veneration of icons. The regent also made sure to place loyal supporters in prominent positions, but sometimes her trust was misplaced. She appointed Elpidios as strategos of Sicily, yet this man secretly sympathized with the political opposition. Soon, he raised a revolt on the island. The empress attempted to recall him to Constantinople, but to no avail. Thus, the eunuch patrician Theodoros intervened and defeated Elpidios, who defected to the Arabs in North Africa. Far to the north, Charlemagne, protector of the papacy, was consolidating power. He was proclaimed King of Italy by the Pope and took into his service the Northumbrian scholar Alcuin. Alcuin would become a leading figure of the Carolingian Renaissance, a cultural revival in Western Europe. Charlemagne also received an embassy from Irene, offering a marriage between her son, Constantine, and his daughter, Rotrud. On the eastern frontier, constant Arab raids demanded Irene's attention. In the summer, she ordered all the themata of Asia Minor to guard the mountain passes. A large Arab army soon advanced into the region, but was met and defeated by the Romans. The following summer, the raids proved far more difficult to stop. The young Harun al-Rashid led a massive Abbasid army, drawing troops from Syria and Mesopotamia. Outnumbering the Roman forces, it advanced deeper into Anatolia than most previous raids. When the army reached the Thema Opsikion, it divided into 3 columns. Harun himself advanced toward Chrysopolis, alarming the Romans in the capital. Meanwhile, his commanders, Al-Rabi ibn Yunus and Yahya ibn Khalid al-Barmaki, marched on the city of Nicoleia and the Thema Thracision, respectively. Empress Irene mobilized her generals. Among them, Domesticos Antonios took command of Tagmata forces. Harun and al-Barmaki clashed with Antonius and Michael Lacanodrakon, while Ibn Yunus failed to take Nicoleia. The tide turned when Tatsatios, strategos of the Bucellarion, resentful of Irene's favored official, Staurakios, defected to the Arabs. Acting on his advice, Harun sought peace. When Irene's envoys, Staurakios and Antonios, approached the Arab camp without caution, they were captured, greatly strengthening the Abbasid position. Irene was forced to sign a humiliating treaty, agreeing to pay over 70,000 dinars in annual tribute. Irene turned setbacks into opportunities, compensating for her weakness in the east with successes in the west. The Isaurian dynasty of her late husband had focused almost entirely on the east, neglecting the western provinces. Under Irene, efforts to reassert control over her native Greece intensified. The empress sent her trusted eunuch Staurakios to Thessaloniki and the Thema Helados. There, he subdued Slavic tribes and forced them to pay tribute, restoring northern and central Greece to imperial authority. He also raided the Peloponnese and captured many prisoners, though the full reintegration of southern Greece had yet to be realized. Staurakios eventually returned from Greece and received a triumph in Constantinople. Empress Irene personally took charge of fortifying the west, traveling to Thrace with her son Constantine. They paraded Roman might amongst the Bulgars and the Slavs, and set about rebuilding and reinforcing the cities of Beroia, Philippopolis, and Enkialos, strengthening authority in the area. In Constantinople, the Patriarch Paulos died, and Irene replaced him with a layman who shared her religious views, Tarasios. With Tarasios, she began preparations for the Seventh Ecumenical Council and initiated a campaign to restore the icons. The Empress and the Patriarch sent invitations to clerics across the territory, but also to the 4 other patriarchates of the former Universal Empire, Rome, Antioch, Jerusalem, and Alexandria, to attend a church council in Constantinople. The iconophile bishops and delegations from the other sees gathered for the council. But hardline iconoclast troops, especially the Tagmata loyal to their old founder, Constantine V, disrupted the proceedings. The council was dissolved. In response, Irene sent Staurakios to Thrace to recruit an army loyal to her. At the same time, under the pretext of an Arab incursion, imperial furniture was transported to Malagina in Bithynia. The iconoclast troops took the bait and were taken by surprise when Irene's newly assembled loyalist forces took control of the capital. The iconoclast Tagmata was dispelled, consolidating Irene's power. Meanwhile, on the borderlands, the strategos of the Armeniacon destroyed the Abbasid fortress town of Adana, whose walls had been weakened by floods. In response, the new caliph, Harun al-Rashid, later refortified other border bases, including Adatta and Tarsus. Back in Constantinople, now protected by loyalists, the iconophiles could now secure their interests. The Seventh Ecumenical Council convened. It restored the veneration of icons and established it as orthodox doctrine. This was the last universally recognized ecumenical council, convened by the final universally acknowledged Roman Empress and Emperor, Irene and Constantine. Thereafter, the Pope of Rome grew increasingly uncooperative with the Eastern Romans, using his authority in the West to support Charlemagne. The king of the Franks continued expanding his empire and consolidating power in Italy. The Lombard Duchy of Benevento, which had survived the fall of the Lombard kingdom, at last recognized the authority of Charlemagne. The religious triumph secured Irene and Constantine's status as defenders of the faith, but their military fortunes declined. The Arabs raided the Thema Anatolikon and inflicted a severe defeat on the Romans at Kopidnadon, killing the Turmakos Diogenes. Further west, the empire fared poorly as well. The strategos of Thrace, Philetos, was ambushed by Khan Kardam in the Strymon Valley, an event welcomed by local Slavs. At the empire's westernmost edges, it was even worse. Irene sent her eunuch general, Ioannis, to join the strategos of Sicily, Theodoros, in an attack on the Duchy of Benevento, the pretext being to restore the exiled prince Adelchis to the Lombard throne and weaken Frankish influence in Italy. The Lombards and Franks inflicted a heavy defeat on the Romans in Calabria, and Ioannis was put to a terrible death by the former. The betrothal of Constantine to Rotrud had earlier been broken, and this compounded the conflict between Franks and Byzantines. The broken engagement also frustrated Constantine, who was reaching maturity and seeking to assert independence from his mother. Irene remained undeterred and continued military efforts to strengthen the Balkans. Around this time, the Thema of Macedonias, actually located in Thrace, was established. At sea, the Arabs advanced on Cyprus, and Irene dispatched the Roman fleet to confront them along the coast of Anatolia. Strategos Theophilos fought bravely but was defeated and captured. Harun al-Rashid admired his courage and urged him to convert to Islam, but the strategos refused and was executed. At home, a new threat materialized. Emperor Constantine became involved in a conspiracy against Staurakios. Staurakios informed Irene, and the conspirators were punished. Constantine was flogged and later placed under house arrest. The empress then made the army swear loyalty to her, but the oath did not last. After recent military defeats, Irene's already weak approval among the army now collapsed. Officers from the Thema Armeniakon who refused the oath rose in revolt. Irene sent Alexios Muzel, commander of the new Tagma, the Vigla, to enforce the oath. But the rebels detained him as their leader and encouraged other Themata to rebel, citing the oath originally sworn to Leo IV when Constantine was first made co-emperor. Fearing the army, Irene released Constantine. The young emperor immediately took action, sending Michael Lacanodrakon to secure the loyalty of the Armeniakon and depose his mother. The tables turned. The army placed Irene under house arrest, while Staurakios and other influential eunuchs were flogged and exiled. Constantine was made emperor. Irene of Athens had ruled as a regent of the empire in a fairly stable environment. However, her promotion of iconophile policies, a bad military record, and her son reaching adulthood gradually eroded her legitimacy. Eventually, aiming to restore the era of Constantine V, the iconoclast strongmen rebelled, sidelined the regent, and established Constantine VI as sole ruler.